gonna cut straight to the chase, no clickbait on the title. I abandoned this channel because I fell in love with running, and the running channel that I've created over the past 2.5 years has really just become my work now. The light's so good, so moody. I didn't even have time to haze it out. Cinema! It's too much cinema. All right, that's it. I'm gonna make an A24 film. Cue the horror music now. Okay, for real though, I have 5 goals for this video. The first one being showing you how I've built 2 YouTube channels, specifically the second one with my production skills in photo and filmmaking. Number 2, show my specific skills on how to stand out and grow on YouTube and in the commercial space. 3, unveil how Cyrus and I have been tackling production in a completely different niche, both logistically and creatively. 4, highlight how being in that new niche has opened up other opportunities in commercial work within that niche. Number 5, transparency my finances in that new niche of running. Very quick backstory, I started this channel in 2018 and I started it with wedding photography and filmmaking, teaching on that creative aspect, but I branched into film photography, short films, finance. And during COVID, I didn't have anything to shoot. I wasn't shooting any weddings, so I really got into running, really got into training, and I actually made a handful of running videos on a new running channel that I didn't really cross promote. The videos did not really perform at all. And then once weddings and other work started picking back up in the photo video realm, I dropped the running stuff and kind of left it abandoned up until 2022. We shot Moving Still over 2 years, a documentary about running, so it just made me fall in love with running that much more. So by fall of 2022, I had been partaking and watching running YouTube nonstop, so I actually wanted to make my own race film for myself at the Chicago Marathon in 2022. And at the time, my friend and employee Shua helped me do that. Filming that race ended up being one of the most impactful races for me to date at that point, having been running for about 5 years. I'd been chasing the 3-hour time barrier in the marathon for about 5 years. That was the day I finally did it. And so because of that, because of the production skills, because of editing skills, that video blew up and got a lot of views. So let's talk about it. What's been my strategy? It's layered. Am I still shooting weddings? Very rarely. Am I still shooting film? Very rarely. Am I still answering emails? Very rarely. That last one's been really bad. A lot of people like to talk about creative burnout on YouTube. I have been so burnt out by communication between 2 YouTube channels and clients over the past 10 years. I have been so burnt out on emails, so much so that I've really just picked and choose recently what I've wanted to respond to, and I've completely abandoned some of them just for my own sanity and bandwidth. It's a luxury to do so, but one that I have now. I am in a much better spot now, so if you want to try to email me, you can go ahead and try to do that again. All right, let's go for a car ride. I have built 2 YouTube channels over 50,000 subscribers, so I just want to give some insight into what I think works really well for channels to get them to that place, because I think a lot of people are hoping to get to about that size to be able to go full-time or make it a career. And I made this in a video about 1.5 years ago, and I think a lot of people are really kind of tired of the creative filmmaking style of YouTube, or that niche, if you will, especially as there's more introduction of AI and AI creation, generative AI. Yeah, it's trash, and I hope that offends you if you like AI, because it's trash. YouTube continues to niche down. I feel like the niches are where things are popping off, and it's not about subscriber count. That's a vain metric, or virality. It's really just about sustainability and the depth of audience and people who care about what you are making and are interested in the things that you're making. A lot of small channels have been experiencing a lot of rapid growth because I think the algorithm now knows that people are going to YouTube to look for the stuff they want, not necessarily people to follow. And this isn't a new revelation. Algorithms have been behaving this way for the better part of 5 years or more, that it's algorithmic based. People are going to the platform to watch what they want to watch, not necessarily seeking out who they want to watch it from. That platform is going to feed it to them, and YouTube is no exception there. So because of that, your title and your thumbnail definitely matter in capturing the attention of the viewer within that niche. But then your video has to deliver. It has to tell a story that is thought-provoking, entertaining, interesting. You have to retain that viewer and then impact them emotionally, in my opinion, if you want them to stay. I think that's the most important thing for me. And ultimately, I think that impact, that emotional impact on the viewer is what actually helps them remember who you are in an algorithmically driven platform. And through my anecdotal experience, it's really interesting to see that people who are bought into a niche actually have more capacity for watch time. They are willing to sit through videos within that niche because they have more interest in it. And that's obviously clear anecdotally, but we can compare those two differences between this channel, my creative one, and my running one, because I think a lot of the creative audience is really burnt out by creative things, and the running audience is really interested in listening to all the nuance of running. So how do you start a new YouTube channel these days? I don't know what the answer is, but I will share what has worked for me with my running channel in a specific niche. First and foremost, I niched down. Super hard to make content these days on the meta, new camera, creative kind of loophole that exists and did exist and thrived in the Peter McKinnon era. And it's what I made when I lived in this place. And it definitely worked and it grew the channel. But I realized I needed to niche into something I was super passionate about, and that happened to be running. After I ran Chicago in 2022, broke 3 hours, made that race film, I knew I needed to follow up with something that was more sustainable and not just something that was a one-off race film type thing. So I had seen other people do series leading up to their races, and I decided now's the best time. Shua was working for me full time, and we decided to go all in on a weekly to bi-weekly series of me training to then break 2 hours and 50 minutes the next spring. And from the first video, it just popped off and people started watching and committing to watching. So I followed that viral moment with some consistency and interest in the niche and people who are interested in seeing someone who just broke 3 hours to get down to 250 then. Then consistency in uploading those weekly videos, or 1 to 2 weeks in frequency, ended up retaining the audience, and people started to follow along with my story and with my training and what was going to unfold. And a huge differentiator for myself was that I appealed to emotion, something that lacked in the running space a lot. It was very centered on training and time and analytics. And for me, training and racing and running is so much more on the emotional side, and it infiltrates my life in a meaningful way with my philosophies and my family and my personal life. And so I knew other people would relate to that as well and not just want to watch something robotic all the time. From the beginning, music has been something that I've used to appeal to emotion. If you followed me for years, you know that in my wedding films and my commercial work, I used music as a tool to give goosebumps to people, to make people cry, to have an impact that associated with whatever was happening on screen. So that same thing applied to all of my running as well. So if I had a fun, easy day, I would use a song like this. And if I had an angsty track workout where it was grueling and hard, I kind of leaned into the pop punk emo, and that felt really nostalgic for myself, like this. Or even pulling a dramatic cinematic piece to apply to a long run workout that was really intense with my buddy Clark here. Music's always been such an integral part of my filmmaking from the beginning. So when I incorporated it into music, I didn't want it to just be a track that I put under the running, but actually a tool that allowed me to help the viewer feel like what it feels like to run in that specific circumstance. Because of this is why I always use MusicBed to license all of my music in my filmmaking. Something that's been so powerful there, and something that I heard from Colin and Samir back in the day, is that every sitcom has a theme song. And so that thing that draws you in and brings you back and makes you feel like you're engrossed in that story or what that show is. I did that in all these examples in the 3 I just showed you. That was my training series leading up to Boston. And in that series, I used the theme song Panic Attack Anna Michaels, and I can't tell you how much that impacted viewers. It had this line. Oh God, I wanna feel better. And when I met people in person before races, they literally came up to me and sang that song straight to me. And it really showed the impact of what it meant to them to show up weekly and hear that song. People were putting it on their playlists. People have told me that they put that on their playlist for race day so that it comes on when they cross the finish line, so they can feel all the emotions in that last stretch of the race. It goes deeper than just a song that you hear during a workout. It actually has impacted people to the point where they're making full playlists with these theme songs and other songs I use within the series. And it's just true that music was an integral part in why the channel grew in the way that it did, because it stood out so much more than the rest of the niche who didn't use music or emotion in the way that I did. And it appealed to a crowd that felt that and related to feeling that, because I feel that in my running. All the music I've ever used in my professional filmmaking career has been licensed through MusicBed. I've been with them for over a decade. I have dozens of saved pages of favorite songs. I have 2 playlists with them that you can check out for yourself. If you're interested at all in checking out MusicBed, if you click that first link in the description, you can get 2 weeks for free in testing out MusicBed. I hope you go check it out. Outside of the appeal to the emotion of music, every series was a docuseries of 10 to 12 episodes, so it left people wanting to come back and ultimately see how I performed on race day, because race day was the climax of it all. And then I would do, a race recap after that. But all of it led up to what would happen in the race. And coincidentally, I have PR'd, I've gotten a new fastest time every single time I've done one of these series, so it's paid off for the viewers to see that the training actually worked in a new and significant way. But none of that would have been revealed if we had not documented it, edited it, and put it online. So the reality is, you don't know what's going to happen unless you try doing it. And if you feel like you have something to share in that way, document it, edit it, and put it out there. I do despise the advice of just keep putting stuff out there and eventually it'll work. That's not true. Sometimes you put a ton of stuff out there and it doesn't work. You don't get enough views, you don't get enough traction, it doesn't help the algorithm the way you want to. And it's okay to pivot or to go into something that is sustainable for you economically, because at the end of the day, if this is a job for you, you have to treat it as such. If it's not working and it's not paying your bills, you need to pivot somehow. But if you see a proof of concept with a viral video, or it getting picked up by the algorithm, or an audience watching and coming through every week because they're interested in the topic, keep going. If you're passionate about it still, keep going. But I'm never gonna be one to say you need to keep doing it until you burn yourself out for the sake of maybe it working sometimes. I have to be realistic in that YouTube is really hard. Filmmaking is really hard, but it doesn't mean that it's not possible. You just gotta think. Oh man, I thought it was gonna be a cool transition, but the curtain just...
I'm out here trying to be famous, watching my friends grow their savings, building lives and credit, or am I just pathetic? And maybe I should get a hobby, start to take care of my body. Oh no, get obsessive about my health, start a fitness account, convince the internet I'm doing well.
Now, if I'm shooting stuff at home or by myself, I'll use the Canon C80, 15-35, 50mm, and 70-200 on occasion with the NTG4 Plus as scratch. And then I have this little Sony clip mic for talking heads. GoPro Hero 12 is often used when I'm running solo, like a narcissist. And then I use the wide angle camera on my iPhone pretty much every single day. And then an Insta360 head cam for POV stuff. And then when Cyrus shoots with me, it's FX3, 24-70, gimbal, and usually on an electric bike following me.
Now that latter part isn't any different than what you see in a lot of creative YouTube or filmmaking on YouTube in general, especially with the FX3, but it does stand out in a niche that doesn't have it all the time. Especially when I started the running channel, there really wasn't anybody doing it to that quality. And funny enough, since in the past 2 years, I've seen a lot more channels popping up with people shooting with cinema cameras and heightening that production quality. So as is the same for many other niches and things in production, that might be something that becomes a standard in every niche. At that point, you have to figure out how will you differentiate yourself in that. And ultimately, it comes down to story after that. Is your story interesting enough to be told and to retain viewers? Recipe for success on the Run channel: high quality visuals. I'm not just saying a cinema camera, but actually doing good compositions, good color, exposing image correctly, and good audio. Obviously, those two are paramount in good production, especially good production on YouTube. Many people throughout the near decade I've been doing it talk about how they will just click out of a video if the audio is terrible. And so quality enough to have a mic on person, or in my case, while I'm running or in the studio, having something that's bearable to listen to and not just the scratch audio you find on a camera. When you can remove the variables of people even thinking about audio being there, that's when you know you've succeeded and that you've sucked them into the world, sucked them into your world. Weird. Thirdly, the foundation of my running was that it was relatable. It took me 5 years to break 3 hours in the marathon, and a lot of people struggle to hit that mark as well. 3 or 3:30 or 4 hours. They can all relate in some sense of having that goal of a time goal in mind, and that it takes a long time to get there. And then beyond that, I was doing series on how I've improved past that huge benchmark that I set and chasing it for 5 years and continue to progress down to, close to 2:30 now. There were storylines in each season. Every episodic series that we did, there were storylines with different races, how I trained, different people and characters, and that was especially prominent in the last one that I did called No Time, where I did interviews with my wife pretty much every week. I think what's so satisfying for a viewer, like I talked about earlier, is in an episodic series, there's a conflict, a climax, and a resolution, and the resolution always comes in the form of the race, and it satisfies in either me breaking the time goal that I set for myself or setting a new PR or some other revelation that I had emotionally, relationally, and it keeps them coming back to want to see what happens the next series and how I train differently and how my life progresses and changes as I train. Finally, to make it sustainable financially, there have been sponsorships along the way that don't distract from what I'm able to do in the training, that they fit perfectly because they're running related or creative related, and it gives the viewer the ability to engage with that product without feeling like they just have to skip through ads whenever they watch an episode. In turn, that gives me the finances to be able to continue to produce the episodes with Cyrus or with additional help that I hire on contractually. I'll be getting into more of the money in the last part of this video, so make sure to stick around until there, being transparent with those finances, how it all works. As you know, I like being open about finances here on this channel. I was most scared of when I pivoted to running more and filming running more was that I wouldn't have the ability to keep up with my creative career. And weirdly enough, doing that much production on the running side actually lent itself to have brands reach out to do commercial work for them. So
sorry, the wind was horrible on that run, but we had the opportunity to do 4 different commercial projects throughout the year, which were insanely special. The first being with Path Projects, and it was a mini documentary about my running and my life. And then BPN commissioned me to do this Instagram short film about training and family balance. Patreon actually reached out about our coaching to do a collab on Instagram. And then finally, we worked with Hoka and I Run Far to do this mini documentary on my friend Chef T, who I met through running at the track in Chicago. And Cyrus and I tackled this project. It was one of the most special on the year.
Ultimately, this is what I consider hybrid commercial work. It's that my portfolio ends up being my YouTube channel in a sense, even though my YouTube channel is the main source of income for me between long-standing sponsors, ad revenue, my coaching. It's the vehicle in which I do all of my running stuff, but it acts as the portfolio that brands can see the quality, the potential, and want to collaborate in that way. If I share about it on the channel, then they see that I do that stuff, other brands see it, they want to work with me, bang, bang, boom. All right, time to go home. But the crazy thing is, like, I'm here at the studio today, but I am here maybe one day a week at most, usually one day every 2 weeks, which is wild to think. Hopefully more in the new year, but I've really, really enjoyed time at home with the family and working from home. Sad, because I'm not here with the guys as much.
Neighbor has a fisherman's hat on, in the hot sun, 4 pair of gloves strung up, hanging from a line in the backyard over 7 Mother Marys in a koi pond.
What's really wild is when you niche into something on the internet, you film it, brands give you free product. And that's most definitely the case in the running scene. I've gotten a lot of free product over the past 2.5 years. And the incredible part about being a filmmaker in that is you get to use it as fodder for whatever creative commercial you want to make or spec ad that you want to make that can build up your portfolio if you'd like, and you could sell it to them. It gives that added benefit of I can kind of drum up this work whenever I want or need, or I have a lead to film my portfolio. It's not just aiming at some random product or business to do a spec ad on. It's all just kind of put in your lap if you have the opportunity of being gifted that stuff. And so I've engaged with this and I've made things, and it's caused more connections within the industry and people wanting to work with me. I mean, and once they send you stuff, you have you have a connection, someone on their email to send a spec ad to, or something you could pitch to them either with sponsorship or partnership on the channel, or with commercial work outside of the channel altogether. Definitely the coolest thing that's happened so far this past summer. My kids and I were wildly inspired by Ryan Trahan and his wife Haley when they did their 50 States in 50 Days series, raising money for St. Jude. So I decided to do a little campaign of my own in my running series leading up to the Chicago Marathon, where people contributed to St. Jude as well. We raised over 50 grand, and it was, I think, mostly because I said I would run a mile for every $1,000 raised. And so I ended up running 52.4 miles, a double marathon down in Memphis at the St. Jude Marathon. They actually reached out because of it. We got connected, and we will probably be partnering on more philanthropic fundraising efforts in the future. I'm incredibly excited to be connected with them because they're an unbelievable organization and hospital. So that's also just wildly cool.
Has a fisherman's hat on, in the hot sun, 4 pair of gloves strung up, hanging from a line in the backyard over 7 Mother Marys in a koi pond.
I will see it now.
I've been trying not to reference my notes the entire video, but I'm going to right now because I just put the kids to bed and I'm exhausted, and I just don't want to miss anything. All right, there are 5 main revenue streams on the Run channel. The first being ad revenue. Next, sponsorships, both long-standing, like a year contract or one-off sponsorships. Coaching, our 60-plus athletes that we're about to open up and grow even more. Affiliate commissions for brands. And then finally, commercial running projects. So ad revenue off of about 2 million yearly views and 280,000 yearly watch hours tends to be on average around $1,750 a month, and that ebbs and flows based off of the season. If it is marathon season where I'm training for a race and racing, that's much higher, around the 2,500 mark, and then off season it's closer to 1,200. Coaching, this is split between myself and my 2 assistant coaches, Cyrus and Clark, and we charge $125 a month currently, which will be upping to $150 a month, and all of that is done through Patreon. My affiliate commissions are all very random across a bunch of different brands, and they span between the running channel and the main channel, but I usually make anywhere between $700 to $1,200 a month in affiliate commissions with affiliate sales. Commercial running projects usually only happen about once a quarter, so we're doing about 4 a year. This is really only off of just this last year, so maybe we'll be doing more this year. And the budgets range anywhere from $8,000 on a project all the way up to $20,000 we've had. And my cut on that is usually anywhere from 35 to 75%, depending on how much work I put in, how much Cyrus and I build out a team. Either way, Cyrus and I are usually tag teaming at the very least, and then bringing on more people if necessary. So between all these revenue streams, the running side of my business is generating around $14,000 a month in gross income, and it ranges anywhere from $2,000 to $4,000 on average in expenses, on the higher end if I'm traveling for races. So it is taking about 75% of my income as an entrepreneur, as a creator. So it makes sense that I am putting a lot more energy into that side of my business now. You know, I sat down to discuss this stuff over the past 6 years on this channel in great detail. And this is by no means a swan song to this channel. I'm not signing off forever. But I did want to take a second to reflect on something I made back in 2019, a video that was titled Making $3,000 a month in passive income. And I made it right after my daughter was born. In the video I said, I'm really hoping that the more content I put out in 2020 will continue to make this number grow so that I can spend more time with my family, because ultimately that is what I care about most with this whole approach of passive income. And that's happened. It's all worked. And it's really cool to experience. I have the most flexibility I've ever had with my business. I'm spending the most time I ever have with my family, and it's just why I haven't been here as much. And I think that's totally okay. It's been lovely. And I'm sorry I haven't been here. I'm sorry if you've missed my stupid mug on this platform, but life is insanely sweet right now, and I'm like truly living the life I dreamed of back when I made that video. You know, building this thing was never about me building it to no end. I made it very clear from the beginning that building this thing was meant to serve that purpose, to spend more time with them and to have that flexibility and to live the life that we've wanted as a family. And delaying our gratification has allowed us to enjoy the simplicities of life and time together, and it's just been unbelievable. And it's because of that sentiment that I'll leave you with what I say on my running channel all the time: be about it. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you the next time I see you. Love you all. Bye.
I wonder what the audio is like.
Hey, yo, hey.
What?
This is from, who do you think it's from? Scout?
On Sunday? Mom, yeah. I got a baby.
Okay.